The Denver Nuggets got swept by the Phoenix Suns in a not very close series. They never really had much of a chance aside from Jokic possibly carrying them, but the Suns were just by far the better team on both sides of the floor and the better team won. Today I'm not here to talk about the series. Today I'm here to answer all the Jokic slander.
They be like, yeah. Can you teach me how to dirty? You know why? Cause all the bitches love it. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin'. And for you to back it up and dump it.
Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I make videos such as this very regularly and preview all of the playoff series during this season. If that is something which interests you, do subscribe to my channel. Nikola Jokic has won this very weird season's MVP. People don't seem to want to give him credit where credit is due to the situations he got the title in. The MVP frontrunner during at the time, Embiid, went out of the race due to missing 2 weeks due to his injury. Perennial candidates such as LeBron James, James Harden and Kevin Durant all missed games due to some or the other reason. Players who actually played enough games and put up amazing stats did not have good enough records to be in the conversation, for example Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. Due to these reasons, the general public does not seem to like Jokic winning this MVP award. Today, I'm here to talk about why Jokic deserves this MVP and why he deserves way more credit than the general public has been giving him. Jokic has been having a historical offensive season. He's been amazing in all the stat categories from traditional to advanced stats. He's one of the only players in the history of the NBA to be top 10 in points, rebounds and assists and steals in the same season. He's averaging 26.4 points per game, 10.8 rebounds per game and 8.3 assists per game on 56, 13 and 87 splits in the regular season. Basically, he averaged a 26-point triple-double on near 50-40-90 efficiency, which sounds ridiculous just saying it. Until this season, he was considered the league's best passing big man. This season, he's put himself into the category of one of the best passers ever. Another insane thing about this is that he's 20th on usage percentage. He's averaging better stats than most of the people above him on much lesser usage percentage. He leads the leagues in win share, box plus minus, offensive win shares, and offensive flex minus, which is just ridiculous to say a few. He sets one of the best picks in the entire league, and his pick and pop with any competitive guard is dangerous. His playmaking is so good, defenders are so aware of him, it leads to efficient offense for himself. He's also one of the best mid-range shooters in the league who shoots above 50% from mid-range. He has a lot of moves in his book, such as floaters, fadeaways and step backs and his famous Sambor shuffle, which make it unfair for the defenders. He's one of the best post players in the league, as he's a 7 foot 284 pound player who is usually much stronger than the defender on him. Double teaming him is asking for trouble, as he's one of the best, if not the best playmaker in the league right now. Jokic has not missed a single game this season, which has had him well above the rest in the MVP race. The best ability is availability is a common quote thrown around, and Jokic has been an epitome of it. Players such as Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. have gotten so much help from Jokic's playmaking this year, they should be thanking him every single day. Let's move on to his competition. I don't generally like to downplay other players, so I'll try my best to make Jokic's case without downplaying his competitors. Joel Embiid versus Nikola Jokic is a common discussion around fans all around the NBA. They are the two best centers in the league, and I really wouldn't kill you whoever you had first. But this season, Embiid has been more dominant. If he had played the entire season, maybe he would have won MVP, as the Sixers had a much better seed. But he didn't. And this isn't the first time this has happened with Embiid, and he's generally very injury prone, and even in his healthiest form, which is this season, he hasn't played as many games as stars usually do. And Jokic, being just as dominant on offense for the entire season without missing a single game, should be an advantage for him, which gives him the advantage in this debate this year. Moving on to Steph Curry. Firstly, Curry's team didn't make the playoffs, which isn't a knock on him at all, but with the way the MVP works now in the media, this should be taken into consideration. Also, I personally believe Steph is the greatest offensive player of all time, but with that being said, I believe Jokic has had a better offensive season this year. Steph has been and will be generating multiple open looks due to his amazing off-ball gravity, but if his teammates can't really hit those shots, which they didn't this season, the gravity is for nothing. He was the best on-ball player in the league this year, but the amount of offense he generated compared to the amount of offense Jokic generated are not comparable really. Steph might be the single most valuable player to a team this year, but the MVP and the most valuable player are not the same in this league anymore. And Jokic, being a much better defender, which is an underrated aspect of his game, a better playmaker this particular year, and a better rebounder while being on a much better team, gives Jokic the edge according to me. Nikola Jokic is a superstar in this league. He's going to go down as one of the best big men of our generation, and he's only 25 years old. He has carried a team without its second best player into the second round. The Portland series is just an epitome of his greatness. He averaged 33, 11 and 5 on well above 50, 40, 90 efficiency. His teammates didn't hit shots, so he made sure that he dominated on the scoring end. The games his teammates did hit shots, he said sure and casually threw around 8 to 10 assists. Michael Porter Jr. and Gordon both had exceptional series, and Jokic was a massive reason why. Monte Morris averaged 15 points per game for God's sake, and Jokic was the reason why. He made a two-man game with a backup point guard in a matter of 4 games, and the Trailblazers had absolutely no answer for it. The Nuggets shot 40.6% from 3 and Jokic was generating all of these big looks. Yes, the Nuggets did get swept against the Suns, and yes, it was a very disappointing series for them. But can you blame Jokic? Credit to DeAndre Ayton for guarding Jokic exceptionally all series, but even when we say this, he guarded him so exceptionally, but Jokic still averaged 26, 14 and 6, which is ridiculous. He couldn't hit the 3, but nobody on the team could. This was his most inefficient series so far, and it was still 46% from the field. Anyone who watched this series knows the number of open looks Jokic had generated for the Nuggets and how the Nuggets still didn't convert them. He took on the load of the offense to himself, which made him very inefficient. All in all, this is a very historic season from Jokic. He's going to go down as one of the best offensive players of all time, and this season is going to go down as one of the best offensive seasons ever, if you agree or not. People calling him the worst MVP ever are absolute clowns, and I can guarantee you he's not the worst MVP ever. There's going to be a video about how weird Paul George's legacy is coming up after the Clippers Jazz Game 4. Be on the lookout for it. Shout out to Drip Productions for producing the background music, and that's all I have for you today. Leave a like on this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I drop very regular NBA content and preview all the playoff series. And if that is something which interests you, do subscribe to the channel.